I've learned a couple things as we've gone through this process. Margie, she's staying in the car, being socially responsible. So, and a couple of things have come about in the last couple of weeks that have been reinforced with me, and that is, don't doubt Margie, and more so, don't argue with Margie, right? She can hear me. Okay, that's good. When this happened, when we started going through this process, and the sign installer finally said, "Hey, we're coming up," and I said, "Well, when are you coming up?" They said, "We're going to be here tomorrow." And I'm like, "Holy cow! We need to put something together to get a date." And I talked to Margie and I said, "I'm thinking of Thursday, August 13th." And things kind of went quiet, and I said, "Is that okay? Is there something wrong?" And she let me know. She said, "Today is the 30th anniversary of John's passing." And I said, "Well, maybe we need to look for a different day." She said, "Absolutely not. That's the day." And so that's why we're here tonight. And then earlier this week, and I hope I'm not giving away other information, Margie was in the hospital earlier this week, and she wasn't sure if she'd be out tonight. And I said, "We can't have it then. If Margie can't be here, we're not having it." And I learned the lesson very quickly. I got several phone calls, one of them being Margie, that said, "You're having it." I said, but, and she said, no, you're having it. And I said, I've got to come up with something to win this argument. I can't have it and not have Margie here. And then my husband instincts kicked in and said, "Okay, Margie, you're right." Okay. So again, thank you for being here. It's amazing that you're here. I do want to thank some people. First of all, Alpha Graphics of Mahwah has been fantastic in getting this set up and helping us along in this whole process. I want to thank my principal, John Pascal. He has been by my side with this. He's been on board. He's been 100% right on. Our former superintendent, Dr. Schoen, she was awesome in this. Again, we brought it up. She said, "I'll bring it to the board, and it sounds great." And that the next part of that is I want to thank our Board of Ed. Awesome response from them. They've been great. I'm going to recognize them. A lot of them are here tonight. Mr. Gallo, Mrs. Barron, Mr. Zaccone, Mr. Kesmarski, Mrs. Conoco, Mr. De Silva. Thank you so much for being here and for your support of this. And there's support when the genuine enthusiasm comes through a Zoom meeting during a vote, and the comments are, whatever you're planning, make it bigger and make it better. And that's a great thing to hear. And it actually turned out when those words, "make it bigger, make it better," came out, we had to replace the sign on the main entrance of the gym as well, because this one got bigger and better, so we made that one bigger and better as well. And again, thank you everybody for coming out. And I talked to Margie about this earlier today. I was here early this morning, and I kind of had a little thought process going on. And we're actually going to do this now, because people are taking pictures, people are taking video. I want to get the blue tarp out of there. There'll be drama. The sign looks awesome, and no matter what happens over the next 20 minutes, everybody's going to be staring at that because it's just so cool. So, gentlemen, if you will.
Wow.
So I do have some people who are going to say some words, and again, that speaks for itself, but we do have some people that want to express some words. So our first speaker is our brand new superintendent. He's been terrific. Dr. Fitz is here tonight, and I'm going to turn the mic over to him. And this is what we do in 2020 now. I'm going to take this.
Thank you very much, Roger. Mrs. Carty, members of the Board of Education, parents, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. and I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this project. Today is a historical day with the dedication of the gymnasium. This is a tremendous honor for a tremendous man, Coach John F. Carty. There's a quote from Winston Churchill that I think about at times like these, and I'd like to share it with you. We shape our buildings, and thereafter they shape us. Coach Carty shaped the lives of thousands of youngsters. I have been told that he was an extraordinary person and coach. He was very instrumental in the lives of children. Coach Carty led his team to many great victories. Coach Carty loved the game, and he wasn't going to let anything else get in the way of him and his game. He took time to make the players better athletes. He brought out the best in them. He cared for his players even when they were off the courts, I'm told. I also learned that he had another team member on his team. And the players were always welcome into their home, where she fixed great meals for them. So tonight we say thanks to a great coach for his contribution to our school district. The impact that he made will not be forgotten, and we most appreciative of his years of service. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fitz. And thank you again for being here. Our next speaker is our principal, John Pascal, who has been all over this project since it began. He's been terrific, and it's my pleasure to turn the microphone over to him.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mahwah High School. It's good to see a lot of our alumni back, a lot of our families back with us. Margie, it's great that you're here with us tonight, as I knew you would be. I came here in 1990 as a science teacher. I had the privilege of teaching some of the Cartys, the younger ones, and one of the things that I've come to learn over my 30 years here in this district is that if you're friends with the Cartys, if you know the Cartys, you're just like kind of part of their family. They just take everybody in, they're kind to people, and they have been very, very generous. The whole family has been very, very generous to our school district, to our students in particular, year in and year out, with scholarship money and any kind of support that they can offer us. So on behalf of the high school community, it is my privilege as the principal to welcome you and to thank you, and really to thank the Cartys for their long-term dedication to our school district and to our student body. And we are so very, very happy tonight to be here and to do this. And in our district, putting a name on a building is a big thing, okay? A very, very big thing. There's a long history to this. So we are so pleased that we're here tonight, and so pleased that so many of you are able to be here tonight. Congratulations and thank you. And before I forget, I am grateful to all the board members in our community for supporting this project, and I am grateful to Roger Pelletier, who is our athletic director, who has constantly been looking at this project and working at this project, you know, and very meticulously he was involved in everything from, you know, where are the letters going to go, what's the size going to be, in conjunction with the Board of Education. So I thank the board and I thank Roger for all of their work on this project.
It is my pleasure at this point to turn the microphone over to another Coach Carty, Kevin Carty, John Carty's brother, So if you please welcome him to the microphone.
Can you all hear me without this? Oh my goodness. All right. Hello, everyone. Is that okay? Whoa, it's overwhelming. I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit. So, when Roger called me and asked if I could speak, he said there are certain conditions involved with this. And I said, well, what would they be? And he said, well, I got to ask you a few questions. I said, all right, shoot. He said, well, are you a good citizen? Do you support the Constitution? I said, sure. And he said, do you believe in free speech? I said, sure. He said, well, good, because you're going to give one. All right. On behalf of Marge and the rest of the Carty family, I'd like to thank the Board of Education and the school administration for this demonstrative public recognition of John's extraordinary contributions to the community. We all go through life. All right, Bob. Bob's calling somebody. Hello. No problem. Now, my wife says, my lovely wife says, me with a microphone can be dangerous, but that made it longer. But I promise you, this is going to be short. I promise. Anyway, I've always felt we all go through life hoping to make an impact or a difference through our existence. Even a small ripple. John Carty's ripple was a tidal wave. My brother didn't get into teaching and coaching to get awards or accolades or honors. He just went about his everyday life being himself. Now, he'd push you to your limit. There's no question about that. He would also give you proper motivation and possibly consolation if it was necessary. But the way he did it showed you that he cared about you. That he would be your friend, and he's someone you can count on. Damn. Okay. I grew up with him. I got coached by him, with evidenced by a couple of knobs on my head. And could see something special in my brother before everybody else got a chance to notice. It looks like everybody else caught on, because he is that special. There's a golf outing in his honor going into his 25th year that has raised over $200,000 for MHS senior scholarships. Now, a gym dedication. It doesn't happen every day. It's certainly special. And at the same time, well-deserved. This sign, to me, a visual outpouring of gratitude, along with the golf outing, allowed John's legacy to endure. With this, he will be remembered and continue to inspire all of us to be the best that we can be. The family truly appreciates your recognition of his imprint on the Thunderbird Nation. All right, John.
Thank you, Coach. That was fantastic. At this time, it's my pleasure to hand the microphone over to one of our terrific alumni who I got to know when I got here 25 years ago, Roger Remo. If you'd come up. Roger's a former student athlete, player of Coach Carty. He is at one of our Wall of Famers. Not only is he on our Wall of Fame, he serves on our Wall of Fame committee. He's volunteer coached here at Mahwah High School, and he's done anything and everything we've ever asked of him. And he is all about being a Thunderbird, and he's what it represents. And as Coach mentioned, Roger's the guy that's run that golf outing for over 25 years, and he took my line about the $200,000. I was using that today. So, Roger, thank you so much for everything.
Before I get started, Kevin gets emotional. I've been doing this for 25 years with the golf outing, and every time I get up here, I say I'm not going to get emotional, and I'm going to try my best again tonight, but Coach Carty brings that out in me. What a great night. I wasn't sure this night was ever going to happen, but it has. Before I get started, I'd like to applaud Roger Pelletier, John Pascal, and the members of the Board of Education. This is a moment and a night we can all be so very proud of. Thank you. As Roger said, my name is Roger Remo. I'm a 1982 graduate of Mahwah High School. 30 years ago tonight, as a 26-year-old young man with a lot more hair and a little less weight, I cried myself to sleep. This was the day that I lost my teacher, my mentor, and my best friend. Certainly wasn't looking forward to the days ahead, as I knew what was going to be taking place. However, based on what I knew about Coach, based on what I knew Coach would want for myself and so many others, we carried on. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, you can judge one's life by the effects it's had on others. I would say that Coach Carty had a pretty good damn life. As I stand up here tonight, I wish I could tell you all the John Carty stories that are out there. There are so many. However, that is not what we're here for tonight. The one thing I do want to leave you with is this, and I'm not alone in saying this. Next to my parents, Coach Carty was probably the one person I never wanted to disappoint. He was special. He made, like Kevin alluded to, he made you feel like you mattered. He gave you hope. He gave you encouragement. And he gave you a kick in the ass when you needed it too. I have been and will be forever grateful to him. We have a group that runs the John Carty. I don't run it alone. Lynn's here, Billy's here. We run the John Carty Scholarship Golf Outing in Coach's name. This year would have been our 25th year in a row, which is, for you guys that don't golf, most golf outings last 3, 4, 5 years. We're on our 25th year. However, due to the current situation in the world, we decided to cancel it this year. To date, we have given out more than $200,000 in scholarships in Coach Carty's name. If he were here, he would be completely humbled. It is our way of saying thank you to our teacher, our mentor, and our friend. Roger, John, Board of Ed, thank you from me and so many that I represent standing here tonight. Job well done. Thank you.
Before our last speaker comes up, I do want to mention one more thank you. Craig Kunish is in the back. Craig, the Kunish family, Mahwah Bar and Grill, they actually brought some food that he's going to be putting out in a few minutes. And Craig and his family are huge supporters of the Carty Scholarship. And thank you for everything, Craig. Our last speaker is Bob Royce. Bob is also one of John's former student athletes. He's also on our Wall of Fame. He became John's assistant coach later on. He coached here at Mahwah High School, multiple sports at times. 28 and a half years ago, he presided over the first dedication of this gymnasium, where the plaque was put up. That was January 11th, 1992. And he's here tonight to actually read a letter on behalf of Margie. So please welcome Bob Royce. Thank you.
We good? You know, when things like this happen, there's a drum beat you hear as to why they happen. And in this particular night, I'm hearing a drum beat from Roger Pelletier that has made this such a fantastic and meaningful day for the Carty family. So I just want to thank Roger Pelletier. I also noted that he made sure I kept my face in the microphone while I was talking about it. So, thank you. My claim to fame, and I didn't realize it at the time, was that when Mr. Carty walked into this gymnasium 52 years ago, I was on the basketball team. And immediately, you realized that you could trust Mr. Carty. He was unconditionally positive, so much fun to be around. We couldn't wait to get to work. You know, when he was chosen for this spot, he had been part of the St. Luke's School and had a fantastic teaching and coaching career. He did his student teaching over at Ramsey. He had done some great work with the Don Bosco football team with his brother Kevin, where a bench is dedicated in his name behind the school. But he chose Mahwah, and it was certainly a blessing for this town and our school and for so many of the students that came through here. And the powers that be chose him. So when you go home and you say, just another day at the office, that certainly wasn't one of them. That was an incredible day for the history of what we're doing here with Mahwah Sports, Mahwah Education, and our community. For those of us who were touched by Mr. Carty, enough said. He was such a pleasure to be with, and as Roger said, you didn't want to disappoint him. Okay, but for those of you that may not have been able to meet him or know him, the idea that someone could walk into this school 52 years ago, okay, pass away 30 years ago, after working right to the very end for the students of Mahwah, and then have a golf scholarship created for him 24 years ago. 1993, we gave out the first scholarship to a senior, and here we are, 52 years later from the time he walked in, honoring him. He would not like the idea that he was honored. So humble. However, one of the things that he would always say to his teams and students, and it was so important and carried through to this day, was that he wanted us to be together as people, as human beings. And he was able to carry that through no matter what you were, what you thought, whether you liked sports, you didn't like sports. He wanted us to be together. One of the more interesting moments I had, just from an observation point, we had finished the game and John had this following of people that would go up to him, old friends from Waldwick and St. Luke's, and talk about the good old days. And then there were the students that would show up at the end of the game. Some of them didn't come to see the basketball. Some of them didn't come to be with their classmates. They just came to say hello to Mr. Carty at the end of the day. Just that little bit of medicine, his positive comments that just got so many kids to the next step. I didn't have anything but appreciation for that. And you know, as you're running around trying to do things for him as a basketball player, you don't realize all that he was because you're too young to notice. But as time went on and I was able to be a good friend for him and he a good friend for me, that you got to see how important all those little things were, how he always made you feel important. He made you feel that you had value. And he had this masterful way, no matter what type of person you were, he could get to you. He could make you think, all right? I say to my friends, geez, I like my friends because they make me laugh. I don't expect them to make me think anymore. But he always did make you think. My main purpose here tonight is to read a letter from Mrs. Carty. Okay, Mrs. Carty, here we go. There are so many to be thanked, starting with Roger Pelletier, who has spent many years bringing this to fruition, and to Lauren Schoen and the Mahwah Board of Education for listening to him. To Roger Remo, Lynn Savino, Kenny Eveling, Jimmy Toronto, Jeff Remo, and Billy Savino of the Mahwah Scholarship Fund for keeping John's legacy alive all these 30 years and for making tonight happen. My daughters, Megan, Shadwell, and James, Kyle, Carty, John's brother Kevin and Shirley, my sister Ellie, brothers Billy and Maureen, Dave and Donna, and our many special cousins, nieces, and nephews do not have enough words to thank you all for this amazing evening. John's grandchildren, John, Ava, Billy, and Maddie, along with many nieces and nephews, some of which have already played in this gym, will now be able to proudly tell all of their friends about their fantastic grandfather and granduncle. I think one of our biggest losses was that they will never get to know this man who would have loved them all so very, very much. Oh, and by the way, this is a quick shout out. Are we allowed to do those? Let's see, we have a happy birthday to Aiden Carty. Happy birthday, Aiden. And James Brady, born on this very special day. My John was complex. He was God-loving, family-loving, teacher extraordinaire, great coach, best friend, loud, crazy Irishman, big old teddy bear, philosopher, therapist, thinker, always evolving. Someone once said to me that it took a few minutes to figure out which Carty he was talking to at that particular moment. One Sunday, John, carrying Erin in his arms, Megan and Kyle, and I went into Mass, and one of his students said, "Oh, Mom, look, Mr. Carty is here. He likes babies." Everyone chuckled, but reminds me that his greatest legacy was to be a role model to so many. Love and thanks to all I have forgotten. John ended all of his speeches with, "May God hold you in the palm of his hand," and as I hope he's holding John's now on his 30th year in heaven today. Love, Margie. For those of us who were directly moved by Mr. Carty, we could never repay him. But I'm always so impressed with how the community, how the alumni, his fellow students and coaches are able to remember him. Thank you very much.
I guess I'm keeping the mask on at this point. Okay, we didn't plan a terribly long ceremony, but before you go, there was one other thing that came about, and this was, it came out of that same board meeting that night, and I'm gonna go back a little bit when the board said, "Make it bigger." I said, "Oh, I can do bigger. Make it better. I can do better." And somebody then came out with the phrase, "Make sure we can see it from space." And I went, I didn't budget for space visibility. I don't know what I'm going to do, and it kind of threw me into a little tizzy. But I kind of had an idea of what I wanted this to look like, and it's been such a fun project to go through. And while I can't promise visibility from space, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to see it from Ridge Road and down beyond that. So at this point, our last thing, if we could do one more thing here, let's see how this works. So that's on a photo cell that's going to go on every night when it gets dark, and that's going to greet our opponents every night when they come in here for basketball. So thank you so much for coming. Like I said, there's some refreshments that have shown up. Please partake, and thank you very much. Have a great night, and thank you for coming.